All right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 38 or episode 7 of season 2. Didn't mess it up this time.
No, confirm this go around. We went through a little bit of an activity right before we started. Yes, 38 overall and 7 of season 2.
Bingo. And this week we are doing Paradigm Brewing Unforgotten, which is a light blonde, I believe.
Um, it's a blonde for sure. I don't know necessarily if they're classifying it as light, but it's a blonde. I would say based on ABV, probably a light.
Yeah, because I have it listed at 4.5. I don't know if that's
Yeah, that's true. It shows it
okay.
on the can.
And we had no IBUs listed on the interwebs. I think we've done a Paradigm before. We did their Oktoberfest, and it's just a new brewery in Tomball, Texas, and there's just not a lot of like info about their beers out there yet because they're only sold in select areas. So
Fun fact, it takes longer to say World Wide Web than www. I don't know why I just thought of that. I think because you said World Wide Web, something like that. But yes, Paradigm Brewing, the old
which that's actually kind of interesting because www is more syllables than World Wide
just
Web.
World Wide Web. Yeah, I don't know. I heard that somewhere. I don't know if that's necessarily true. We can run the audio back and time it, but yeah.
That's also maybe
So
just an American thing or maybe a Southern thing because we shorten W to WW.
yes, that is
WWW.
true. Also, it irks me when people still say that. They're like, you're gonna go to www dot. Like, listen, it's 2022. Nobody's been wwwing for quite some
We
time.
know it's
It's
all
it's
dubs.
it's paradigmbrewingcompany.com. You don't need the www or
Right.
www, which
Or what
which brings
about
me to another point real quickly.
okay.
It's actually two V's. So I don't know why we're saying WWW
Oh,
when it's
yeah.
two V's. But anyways, I digress.
Actually, in high school I changed the way that I wrote my W's because of that thought process.
So it
I
had to be the loops, not the points.
yeah, I looped my W's even though that's not the correct way to do it.
Depends on how lazy I'm being. But back to the old T Town, the old Tom of Balls,
Oh,
Paradigm Brewing.
Tom's balls, eh?
The old Tom Balls.
Um, yeah, so light blonde, 4.5. I'm going to get into it and give it a taste here.
I agree. Unforgotten. So branding on the can, as we do weekly, kind of has a patriotic feel to it. I get like military respect vibes. Maybe there's a period of time throughout the year. I don't know if this is a seasonal or if this is a continual brand for them, but periodically throughout the year, I guarantee you they're like, hey, we're giving $1 back of every 6 pack to some particular branch of the military that's under respect for that season. Um, but anyways, pretty sweet graphic, I think. Very patriotic, if you will. Unforgotten blonde beer. What's funny to me is they call it out as a blonde beer on the can, not a blonde ale. Oh, good Lord, it
Hmm,
pours like a beer.
does it now? We got a good pour on our hands here.
Oh, dude, it's
Ooh,
beautiful. This is the
ooh.
top-down approach, but the head shrinking as it should. We're getting some exhaustion of those bubbles. It's breathing through that upper foundation, which is
Mm.
kind of oxymoronic. Upper foundation. Um, but yeah, great color, a little bit of cloudiness. I can't remember if we talked about this when we did the Oktoberfest. There was some that I had a cloudiness issue with it, right? I don't know if they're just not filtering their beers to my liking, or I haven't tasted it yet. I don't know if they're
I
not filtering them to my liking, but yeah, there seems to be some cloudiness across all versions of Paradigm.
I do believe so. Um, yeah, I think you did have a little bit of an issue with
Bro, tell
the
me that doesn't look like some shit out of a commercial, though. Look at it, huh?
oh yeah, it does look nice. It does have a nice pour.
Anywho, so yes, they're not filtering as long. Continue. I cut you off.
Maybe not. I mean, it's a smaller brewery right now. Like I said, they're not not available in a lot of places. It's more localized than anything. I know they're at like HEBs in the area, Total Wine and More, and maybe some Kroger's. I don't remember though. Um, I mean,
So I did just like throw the website up just to, and honestly, didn't even peek at it beforehand, but like this is when you know branding has done its job. I want to read this line here. So they talk about it being with Vienna malts, German hops, all that stuff. Unforgotten, smooth experience, whatever. To be determined once I drink it. But their foundation here for the beer itself is, but the real story behind this brew is our heroes, right? So first responders, police, and our military. So without even understanding that, you can tell by the can that that's what they go into. We honor their efforts and sacrifices to keep us safe. And a portion of the, what was it? What did I say? A portion of the proceeds from every beer goes to help support them. So, dude,
okay.
hats off from a sales slash marketing guy. Hats off to Paradigm for building a can and a visual brand that immediately made me assume those things, and that's what they were targeting. I
Yeah,
listen.
that is impressive.
I don't know what it tastes like, but it's a win in my book, even without that. And not because it's just close to home, but because like they're doing exactly what they set out to do by looking at the outside of the can, let alone what's inside.
Right. Um,
So,
well, I am a few sips in, so I don't know if you have
mm,
gotten you a taste yet. I do think it's a little hoppy
mm.
for what I consider like a blonde, but I like hoppy, so it kind of fits my flavor profile a little bit. I almost said flavor profile, just, by the way, starting off
Just
hot.
thank God that that term is not trademarked, because then you like if the term was trademarked, then you would have to say flavor whatever. Anyways, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd,
Um,
I'd have to say TM at the end of it.
Dude, I agree that it does have some hoppiness to it, but man, I think sometimes blondes don't, they're a little self-conscious, if you will. They don't have the self-confidence to, you know what? It's okay. I understand you're a blonde, but have some confidence in your hops. Have some confidence in your malts.
Yeah, step outside of your stereotype a little bit, you know?
Exactly. And so I think that this is a blonde with self-confidence. That's what I think that we've
Mm-hmm.
gotten from Paradigm here. I don't remember exactly what I said about their Oktoberfest. And again, I'm not just boasting because they're close to home, but like this is a blonde with balls, is what this is to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some confidence in its hops. It's got some confidence in its malt. And so yeah, I'm not mad at it. It is hoppier than a regular blonde, but I'm in.
Yeah, I really do enjoy the flavor of it, honestly. It was, I mean, I've actually had it before, I think. I think I had it when I went to visit the brewery, but that's been like a year ago, so I didn't really remember it much, and I hadn't had it since. So, um,
I I I will well, I mean obviously draft is going to be significantly different, but I will say I feel like a lot of what we're getting, and maybe this is every can. I don't know, maybe they're pretty damn consistent, but I feel like maybe some of the hoppiness, some of the malt, some of everything that's coming through could be because it's not filtered extremely well.
mm,
So
maybe.
maybe it becomes, I don't want to say it's a stereotypical blonde because I think it's more than that, but I think some of it's because of the volume of filtering.
It could be. You said maltiness, and now that is coming through a little bit, and it almost makes me feel like it is kind of this time of year relevant, you know? Because like I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of like Christmas time beers or holiday beers or whatever are a lot more malty than other time of the year.
And to that point, I think a lot of, so even hoppiness, I think a lot of the hoppiness is clouded by like the seasonal spice undertones, right? Think about like a
Mm.
Christmas ale or a winter ale or something. They cut or they curb a lot of the hops by that spice blend that goes on top. But you're right, foundationally malty.
Yeah. All right, so we're feeling pretty good about it. We'll get into the ratings at the end like we usually do. Uh,
Absolutely.
right now, what's up?
No, no, real quick, I got to mention. Listen, yeah, off the tap. So we're going to talk about the beer for the first 5 minutes, irrelevant conversation for an hour, and then we'll tie up how we feel about them at the
Yeah,
end.
right, exactly. We're
Yeah,
off the tap, bro. Um,
that's right. So back on topic, which is off topic. Onward.
yeah, so it's the time of year now where free agency and baseball is going crazy. We got people signing everywhere. JV's gone from Houston, which we kind of expected, right? Signed a 2 year deal with the New York Mets, 86 mil for a 40-year-old pitcher. Uh, 1 year out of Tommy John. Listen, he had a great year last year. I'm thankful that we had him. Um, but that's a bit of a steep price, I think, for 2 years.
Yeah, but it's a 43 mil. I mean, I know that they don't divide it equally, right? And there's like all these different clauses, but $43 million per season, essentially, if he were to hang around. Um, and listen, you know very well, like whenever he went into free agent, like immediately, right, day after or whatever goes into free agency, I had concerns about losing him, and you were like, you guys, right, Eric included, were like, hey, listen, it would hurt to lose him, but then immediately that triggered something in me to be like, you know what? I'm not saying we're better off without him. It'd be great to have him
No,
around,
yeah.
right? But ultimately, man, I really don't think him staying in the Astros organization is gonna better or hurt our chances of performance in the next season, right? And especially if
Mhm.
it free, especially if he was wanting that kind of commitment as far as like money is concerned, not the years, but money is concerned. I think we're kind of better off. I love JV, but I think we're kind of better off if he's chasing something like that for such a short tenure at his age, coming off of the year that he came off of.
Right. I mean, I can't blame him for going and getting the bag, right? Came here, brought us 2 chips, got 2 Cy Youngs here. It's time to send him off, leave us with the younger guys. Hopefully they pan out the way we need them to. But yeah, I think I would rather take that 43 mil a year and spend it on some bats. Get some replacement bats to make the offense even scarier than it is. Um, and it looks like that's what we're gonna do. So pretty happy about that at least. Um, Other news though, there's been some other big free agents. Trey Turner, who was a Dodger last year, is now signed with the Phillies for 300 mil for 11 years.
Yeah, so again, it's not the price tag on that. Obviously, if you did the math, that's nowhere near, well, 300 mil. Yeah, I mean, that's
It's
slightly
it's
below where
less than
JV's at.
yeah, it's less than 30 mil a year,
But
slightly.
here's my thought process on there. How old is this guy?
I really don't know how old Trey Turner is. I think he's like 27-ish, maybe
Uh,
26-ish. I don't
Okay,
know
so I
though.
haven't I so the good news to your answer is I have an argument for both sides. Okay. We're talking about 11-year contract, all right? So if this guy was like wet
And
behind the
sorry,
ears,
and a
go ahead.
no trade clause. Continue.
Wow.
Yeah, no trade clause.
Is there an option anywhere?
I'm not sure about options, but there was no. I know there was a no trade clause included in it.
Okay, so I think the no trade clause is smart on his behalf, dude. I would hate the insecurity of being paid. I mean, I won't say I would hate it, but like I would hate the insecurity of leaving a ball club that I'd committed to um under a payout to go somewhere else. I mean, I guess it's to your benefit when it happens, but I feel him. I think he wins on the no trade clause personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but two other things that I would say is like I have an argument for however you would have answered that question, regardless of age. I have an argument on both sides, right? We're talking 11 years, okay, which for almost, I would say 80% of baseball is a career, okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about a rookie that you're dedicating to, and I know he's not a rookie, right? He's in the middle ground there. But if you think about a young kid that even if he blew through the minor leagues, like there's no way in hell that you can tell me you could gamble on whatever stats he's generated in the minor leagues to dedicate to a contract that's 11 years long, regardless of money, right? I don't care if they were paying. I mean, I guess if they were paying this kid like $30,000 a year, obviously you could commit to 11 years, but that's not baseball, right?
Right.
So I just don't know for that tenure, no trade clause, maybe your limited options that you could dedicate to a rookie that blew his way through the minor leagues. for an 11-year contract, right? Not fair to him and not fair to your organization ultimately if there is payout, even if it's low money. The opposite end of that is you've got a guy now that's let's say you got a guy that's slightly older than that, okay? You've got a guy that's maybe 30, all right? 20,
Mm,
I don't know, 28 to 30. 11 years is he's already been in the system, right? He's already been in playing major league ball. Like now you're committing him to where possibly physically and performance wise, he could be at a I'm air quoting here, a retirement age within 5 years of that 11-year contract. So I just don't know how folks are justifying 11 years regardless of money, regardless of previous performance and left in the tank tenure, 11 years doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, from an organizational standpoint, it's a really ridiculously long time. Like, obviously, from a player standpoint, you want a longer contract. I mean, I guess not everybody does necessarily, but you're looking for a longer contract for the security, right? So that you feel secure and that you'll have a job for the next decade, regardless of your performance, basically, right? I'm sure there might be stipulations and stuff, may sometimes not, but usually there's some stipulations in the contract and stuff that can help with that for an organization. But from a player perspective, it makes sense. I don't know if I want my organization to go out and give that kind of length of a contract. Um, like you said, it's just not only like not only for age does it matter, but when you're talking about any professional sport, God forbid, I don't want anyone to like ever get hurt and have an injury that affects their career in any way,
Mm.
but it's a very possible thing. And so you're when you give a contract like that out, you're banking on this guy to be relatively healthy for the next decade plus. And that's a lot. Like normal human beings can't be healthy that long.
Well, that so there's that point, right? And I guess maybe that's what I was kind of referring to in the whole retirement age situation. I meant like
Yeah.
physically or even mentally, right? There's going to be so many changes for that organization. I don't care what organization it is. There's going to be so many changes, front office, players built around him, whatever that happened in that 11-year tenure. Um, one of the thing that I like all the time, I don't know if this even really makes sense, right? Because I don't know if there's like stats that support this or not, but like in my personal opinion, anything that is fruitful for the organization and fruitful for the player, right? Whether he goes on to having a phenomenal career somewhere else or if he's already had a phenomenal career and he's, landing his plane per se, his career plane at a organization, a contract has to be half-assed mutually beneficial, in my opinion, right? If you look at people
Right.
that have been successful with an organ, like look at JV, right? He came to Houston. Obviously, he was paid well. He had some couple of, I think he had two different short stints, right? I think we extended him
Yeah.
for one particular, yeah. So under those particular circumstances, the money and the tenure made sense because where he was at in career, it was mutually beneficial to both the organization and to the player. And what did we see out of it?
Yeah.
Those, right?
Two
So
chips.
I, yeah. So I'm not saying that that there's maybe that's anecdotal, right? Maybe there's not actual stats to back that up. But I would like to see mutually beneficial contracts and how they benefited both the club and the player, as far as success versus long time lopsided contracts or short term lopsided contracts where the players get in the shaft. I'd like to
Yeah.
see that.
Well, I mean, realistically, it just comes down to pretty much what organization it is and how willing they are to spend money regardless, right?
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
at a
so
certain point with the Yankees and the Dodgers, they're going to give out these big contracts and just eat it if someone gets hurt. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter to
so
them.
so I was literally gonna say all of the stats, whether they're anecdotal or they have numbers to back them up, or whether there's that warm and fuzzy passion, all of it goes out the window when you look at the organizations like the Yankees or the Dodgers, where
Mm.
they just have infinite money to throw around and obviously no morals.
Yeah, yeah, right. Which I can kind of get into that toward the end of this topic uh, again a little bit, but
Anyways, keep going.
so yeah, so also Jacob DeGrom signed a 5-year deal with the Rangers, which if he stays healthy for that whole time, it's going to be scary for us for the next 5 years. We're going to have to face one of the best, arguably the best pitcher in baseball when healthy. Uh,
That's fine. I mean, ultimately, in my opinion, still, regardless of performance this year, I mean, you're still tying the bricks of the Rangers around his ankles. Like they're always going
yeah,
to have a flaw in their offensive lineup, in some of their some defensive holes within their system. So you can put whoever you want to, on the hill, and obviously it'll help their stats overall. But like he's one particular individual in a rotation of folks. So it's
right.
not the end all be all.
And I think there's been a couple more sign. Oh, Cody Bellinger to the Cubs for 1 year. This was surprising to me for 17.5 mil for recent Cody Bellinger. Oof, that's a price tag for the Cubs. I don't know what they're doing out there. They must also be running with unlimited money at this point because when you're giving that
Maybe
guy 20 mil, that's crazy.
sometimes middle level rollers want to throw the dice with the guys that are high rollers. You know what I'm saying? Like they want
Listen,
to get that free giveaway, that comped hotel room and the free parking. Even though they're trying to pay bills on the side. So it is
some
what it is.
something like that. Maybe they're just
Hey,
really banking that the shift is gonna wake him back up, or the
bro,
ban on the shift.
Bro, here's the thing though. Listen, it's so funny to me. Like postseason, let's say we're having this conversation exactly postseason from now, right? A couple weeks, back from now. I don't know how you want to phrase that, but, and let's say that it is fruitful to their overall performance. Would be like, hey, a hell of a pickup. I mean, I know they overpaid, but a hell of a pickup. Like
Yeah,
that's just sports. But go ahead.
right. Yeah, we all have opinions now, but we gotta wait until it pans out, right?
Yeah, or it fails because we'll be talking the same shit if it fails. But yeah.
And then the two large names still on the market are that of Carlos Correa, former Astros shortstop, former Twins shortstop, and of course, big boy right fielder Aaron Judge from the Yankees. Um, a little bit of news broke on Twitter earlier, prematurely from one of the MLB insiders, and he immediately revoked it because he had wrong information.
Real quickly, listen. You can pull back all you want from Twitter, but it's like being in a courtroom and you say something and everybody believes it, and they're like, "Hey, tell the jury that they can't believe that."
Yeah,
That's
that's
bullshit.
exactly
Like you
what it
can't
is.
take it back, bro. The jury, yeah, they're gonna go in that room and be like, "They told us to disregard this," and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, but everybody believed it and they had facts to back it up."
Yeah,
So I'll believe what I want to believe. But yeah, go ahead.
but he tweeted out and said Aaron Judge to the Giants was happening, and the
Was
Giants,
happening.
yeah, or is happening basically, that it
Okay.
had happened. It was just things being signed and whatnot at this point, but like they had agreed on a contract. Immediately deleted the tweet and apologized for prematurely saying something that he didn't have 100% facts on, because the Giants apparently haven't heard back from Judge yet, but they offered him north of $360 million.
Yeah, dude, and obviously everyone had been tracking and trending with knowing he was going to end up there, right? So, I mean, maybe because he doesn't have confirmation and he can't spread false narratives, like he has to pull it back from a Twitter perspective. But I mean, come on. I think we're all betting in that boat. Like we've all been
We can
on.
hope. I'm just hoping that he doesn't end up back in New York because I'm gonna
Oh,
be
for
real
the sake
honest
of
with
him.
you. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I
Not
don't give
even
a
because
shit
I
about
hate
New
the Yank,
York.
not even just for my hate of the Yankees, but for my genuine hope for him. Like he deserves to have a better fan base than the Yankees because yeah, I mean he had a great year this year, and when he would go out and strike out twice in one game, they would boo him, dude. And I'm just like,
Well,
why do you treat somebody, you know, that half of those people going to the Yankees games were going to watch him? Nobody. Who else are you going to watch? On Garrett Cole, maybe? Who else on that
not
team are
me.
you? Well, I mean, me either, but
I
who
have a
else?
personal vendetta. I'll set that aside, but yeah.
Yeah, well, me too. But you know, I don't know who else you would pay money to go to a Yankees game to watch other than Aaron Judge.
I just feel, yeah, I for the sake of also for his, I don't know, man. Like, dude, you know
Sanity?
how, yeah, well, not just that, but like I just feel like, I know baseball's different or any sport's different, but think about the outside world, man. I don't think you necessarily grow if you're with the same organization. I'm a genuine believer in that. I'm not saying you got to jump every, 2, 3, 5 years. There's no stigma of where you have to stick with, but genuinely, if you want to grow, you have to understand a number of different organizations, a number of different ball clubs in this scenario, different challenges, right? What talent you have, money you got, cap you got. Like I just feel like for him to be successful, I think to fulfill himself, because this is the kind of person I think he is, for him to fulfill what he thinks is success, which is not just putting a ring on his finger. I think it's ultimately overcoming obstacles and being a great team or building a good organization. He's not going to do that in New York.
No, I really don't think so. And also he can get to go home, right? Because he's from California. I think it's just a great fit. I think the team would get significantly better. They would be a lot more fun to watch. Um, and I would be able to like Aaron Judge again. So I would like that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a hatred for the Yankees, but I still respect him as a
Oh,
player, even when
utmost
he's
respect.
whipping our ass, right?
Yeah, especially
Uh,
when he's whipping our ass because we're the best. So
my
gotta
my
have respect.
respect. It's funny that I mean, I'm just gonna say it again. This is the one of those ones that'll come back to bite me, but like my respect levels out. It's like I respect him because he's a great player, even though he plays for the Yankees. But also, he's from California, so like,
Yeah,
kind of hard, you know.
right. Um, and I heard regarding Carlos Correa, so I brought them up together that the Giants are also going to go after Correa. Uh,
Good Lord, have they been sitting on a pocketbook over there? What's going on?
again, man, that's just that California money, I guess, man. Everybody's got it except for Oakland. They're all willing to spend it except for the Athletics, bro. I don't get it.
Bruh, Oakland, look, all of these people are talking about like, Judge, Correa, like what prospects in free agency can we pick up? Oakland's hitting the local high schools, bruh, trying to pick up somebody.
Bro, I mean, if I'm being honest though, like the Athletics over the past I don't 7 or so years that the Astros have been relevant, the Athletics have built a lot of talent throughout their organization, and then they just trade it away every time that they get good. And I just don't I feel so bad for those fans. I really do.
I listen, I think the underlying message here is that at its foundation, professional sports, baseball included, is a business. And Oakland is excelling in at least, being profitable. Um
Excelling. They're
except
excelling at
Yes.
selling.
You can capitalize and underline the sell part. That's what you're
Yeah,
hinting at.
right.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it's still a successful business. It keeps folks around. I don't know necessarily what the commitment that Oakland has or Oakland fans
Not
have
really.
to the
They're trading
organization.
all their fans. I mean, they're trading all their players. They're not really keeping them around much.
No, no, no. I'm talking about their fan base,
No,
right? I mean,
I know.
there's still a justification for a ball club there, right?
Maybe, man. I don't know.
In
Same thing happened to the
comparison,
Raiders, man.
yeah, exactly. And maybe they jump ship. But I tell you what,
Vegas, listen, just go to Vegas with the Raiders. Vegas needs a baseball team. Let's be real here.
I get it. I'd much rather, though, I tell you, even in California, even with the fan base, trading away the players, not respecting the community that supports it, I'd still much rather be an Oakland fan than a Texans fan. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, me too. Me
Yep,
too.
it's a better organization, so
Um,
I'll leave it at that.
one more touch on baseball, real quick. I said I would bring this back up. I believe it was either today or late last night. There was a report brought out that the MLB was giving juiced balls to the Yankees late in the season. Uh, they were given juiced balls mainly to Yankees games and in the playoffs and so forth.
I mean, so how is this? I, I, I don't understand how that. that can be justified? Like, I understand both sides are getting access to him, but like, why?
I don't know. Everybody can just assume that it was for the views for the Aaron Judge home run chase. That's at what everyone can say.
Okay,
Uh,
so
to me, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really give them. It doesn't give the Yankees an advantage really in any way because, like you said, both teams have them in the game. So,
it doesn't matter. It's still, regardless of if they know how it's going to turn out, it's still a variable that is ultimately determining the game.
oh yeah, it's a determinant. I just mean, one side. Well, I mean, Yankees probably benefited more for it because they had a lot of big hitters, but
Dude, so then, I mean, again, this is baseball, man. So then you can go, all right, so the ball's juiced and we both have access to it. But based on batting average, the upper hand is gifted to whoever's toting heavier numbers walking up to the plate,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So there's that. The other piece of it is, too, like, dude, I get so frustrated about, like, and you and I have had exhaustive, we're not even going to go down this path, but we've had exhaustive conversations about Nolan Ryan's ability to perform and be the Nolan Ryan of today, because I don't believe that that's true. But like over time, okay, we look at all these stats, we look at all these records, and like people are breaking them, but we're also literally juicing the
Juice.
system in which they're playing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, how do you compare? You're never comparing statistic apples to statistic apples.
You never
I
can
don't
in
know.
any sport anymore. It's just like people comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan, right? It's just a different era of basketball, man. They're hard to compare.
Okay,
I mean, you
maybe
can
so, but
compare
like
numbers
to,
and
to me,
stuff, but talent wise, there's differences in who they played against. The rules that were in place. Same with football, right? Like Tom Brady. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously the. I mean, he's the goat, right? I mean, regardless of the
oh,
rules and
oh,
everything, but
okay. And listen, I will give you both of those arguments, okay? But when is the last time that the NFL filled a football full of
healing.
helium?
Yeah, no, no,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
you're making
saying?
a point.
Like
Yeah,
0 cents. And honestly, man, I don't know. Again, I don't want to get too serious. I feel like I've been hard edged this whole episode, but like I, that's infuriating to me because I, you know, again, I've said this many times in conversations we've had either on the podcast or we've had just in person. Like the thing that I love about baseball, I know you love action. I know you, and we all do. We love that good
Mhm.
rocket, that good moonshot. But like to me, solid baseball can be watching a no hitter that ends up with a single run, right? Two
Yeah.
base runners and an entire 9 innings because of defensive effort. Um,
Oh, I'm about
or
it, bro.
you see what I'm
I love
saying?
that.
So it just infuriates me that people are like, oh, we need to have some crazy deep field shots. I think true baseball fans are more
Yeah.
programmed, whether it's because of just tenure, to understand that like with this guy in this position, like this is the approach that we take, and he can't even make a play on the ball. Like
Right.
that's the way. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I love a good home run as much as the next person, right? I mean, they're fun to
If
watch.
if it's earned though, don't gift it with some magical
Yeah.
dust you're injecting in the core of a fucking baseball. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I enjoy watching it, but there's nothing I like more about baseball than some good old small ball on offense, bro. Get you a couple singles, get a base runner on, trade spots with the runner on second, Do your
Dude,
thing, man. Team effort.
which is gonna go away and not very many people take advantage of it, but like, hey, let's just stick the shaft to the old shift, man. Let's
Yeah,
opposite field when you got everybody shifted to the right. That's baseball, dude.
that's
Here's
baseball.
where they're lined up. This is what the stats say. Overcome the stats.
Yep. I agree. All right, one more thing I wanted to talk about,
Anyways,
contract related, before we move on to our next topic, is the absolutely ridiculous contract that Cristiano Ronaldo just got for a Saudi Arabian league, because he just recently parted ways with, I think he was with Manchester United.
I have no
as
idea.
most
I've
recent.
I've not kept up with them.
But I just want you to give me a random shot of an annual number you think this guy's getting paid for 1 year.
Annual number, I'd hate to overshoot it and just burst that bubble, but annual, I'll say $180 million.
$200 million a year. That, my friend, is what we call fuck you money.
Yeah, so that's more than fuck you money, but also it's irrelevant. Like, how long? Not that the contract length matters, but how long
Yeah,
are they trying to tie him there?
I don't even know. I just know that it was 200 annual. We were just sitting here talking about the longevity of contracts and the fact that Aaron Judge might get 360 million, and that's crazy for probably 10 years, 8, 10 years. This guy's getting almost that in 1 year of football
So,
or soccer
to
for
that,
us. But
I'm going to make 2 points. I'm going to make them quick, even though that's not my way. Obviously, everyone's aware that I'm long winded. But the 2 points I'll make is this: love American baseball, okay? But the revenue that and it's ridiculous, but the revenue that San Francisco, with a lengthy contract with Aaron Judge, that they're going to generate over that span of time is by no means going to equal
oh,
the equivalent that Cristiano Ronaldo will. Okay, I'm not saying that justifies the contract, but it
well, I mean,
helps
it
me
kind of does.
digest. Well, it does, but it helps me. First off, I don't know if any human being should be compensated that
No,
way, right? Regardless of if with one shitty tackle you can end your career, right? I'm just saying the club, overall, the economics of it makes a little more sense in soccer slash football than it does in any other sport. Um,
well,
the
I mean,
second
worldwide, it's the biggest sport on the face of the
Right.
planet. So,
That's why I'm saying the economics make sense, right?
yeah,
Second thing though is why is Saudi are the Saudis just taking over all the fucking sports? It's like they decided at some point they were like, hey, we got the surplus of money. Obviously we need to invest it so that we can get some like national folks off of our back, because things are shady over here and that's why we have the abundance. But like, dude, golf first, it makes sense to. I don't know why they chose golf first, but like either way. Secondly,
probably because there's
soccer.
no real competition with PGA. That's probably why they shot for golf first, honestly. And contrary to probably popular belief, there's a lot of money in golf. A lot.
That's what I was gonna say. Just the money, the sheer money involved, not even through sponsorships, but like just the sheer money in human capital because of investments by large companies that
Yeah.
sponsor those folks. It makes sense. But anyways, listen. First, it's golf. First, it's Second, we've got soccer now. Like, just when is it before they take over? Like curling, or bumper pool league or something like that. I'd be damned if I let shuffleboard fall to the Saudis.
Yeah.
That
We
was a
can't.
bold statement, but I think they would understand. I'm frustrated.
Yeah. It's frustrating when you just got all this money and you can just do whatever you want with it, right?
And honestly, I don't blame folks for going there to play either. I mean, obviously they're trying to build a career for themselves, but
Yeah, I
um,
kind of blame them a little bit. Yeah. I mean,
that's
that's
a
a lot of
ridiculous.
money, but where is it
That's
coming from,
ridiculous.
brother? You know?
So one question I'll ask before we move on. I think it's a ridiculous contract. I don't know if it's justified for one human being, regardless of the revenue that it generates. But who do you think's the best of all time? Like does this I don't know if contract makes the man, right? But does this prove to the world that Ronaldo is the best that football has ever seen?
Mm. See, I'm a little biased because I've always been more of a Messi fan than a Ronaldo fan. So I've always been on the side of the argument that Messi's better, but you can't sit here and say that he's definitely not top three, right? The Messi, Ronaldo, and what, like Pele or something, like
Yeah, Pele for sure.
those three guys are by far the top three that have ever played the sport, you know. And you could probably put you could arguably put them in any order. Uh,
Yeah.
but of this
Okay.
generation, I think Ronaldo is more popular within the sport. I think he has a more popular personality. He's easier to market, so that makes it easier for any league. And that's also why, well, another reason why Messi's going to make a lot of money is because he's great, obviously, and he's going to come to America and make all his money. So it kind of,
Here's the thing. I think the only difference in as far as like the business and the money of professional sports, um, Ronaldo is marketed very well as the villain, but also as the protagonist,
yeah,
right? He's marketed well as both. Okay, and maybe even on the field, right? Because like when you see him play, he definitely gets frustrated. Sports' group gets frustrated both internally and externally with his teammates. But you love it all the same. Like if he's
yeah,
supporting his boys, right, against the opposite team, you're like he's justified in it. But if there's a mistake that's made, and he's lecturing someone that's on the field with him, it also seems justified, and that's
mm,
the epitome of being the villain and the protagonist in marketing all across the board. I
yeah.
think that's what makes him such a great. I mean, he's a great player too, but I mean that's what makes him so. I guess spotlighted and maybe gives him
Well,
the opportunity to be the elite.
right. It's definitely like I said, it's definitely like his personality because that's what
Mm.
separates him from Messi. Because realistically, they're both incredibly talented football players, right? I mean, very close in everything they do, but you hear more about Ronaldo because he gets in front of the cameras more and talks about stuff more. So,
Also, the gap, man, it blew my. I mean, even watching just some of the World Cup stuff, and obviously not all of, like whatever, but the world, like just the gap in talent. Like, no offense to any, like I'm physically incapable of doing anything that they do, right? But if you see like certain folks, and it's not just Ronaldo, not just Messi, like there's a handful of folks, let's say maybe five or
Mbappe,
six. Yeah, Mbappe, okay?
Mbappe is the new one.
If you look at those three individuals controlling the ball, managing the flow of the game, it's it's like they're all here. You can put them, you can rank them however you want, but they're all here and everyone else easily 15 steps below.
Yeah, you
And
can
and it's
clearly
weird
see.
to me.
And some people are just born with it, man. It's crazy. It's
Maybe it's
crazy.
Maybelline.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
We would like to thank our sponsors this week,
No, no, no,
Maybelline.
no, not an ad. Hashtag not an ad.
Hashtag not.
All right, we got another thing we wanted to talk about here, which was shitty gift givers.
Yeah, so pretty much, you know how like back in the day they would write things that describe people on a gravestone. Like if I were like if it was old school, like the Wild Wild West, and they were to bury me, it would just say, like it was generic. It would say like right, and then it would have the year, and then it would just say shitty gift giver. Like that's what would describe. I don't know if I would distill down strictly to just shitty gift giver, but it would, it'd be a close tie for how they would describe me.
I mean, why do you think that is? Why do you think you're so bad at it? Are you just not able to connect with people? You know?
Dude, I think what it is like I always try like anybody who's listened, I always try to like distill things or like simplify things to like three things I'm gonna say or one, two, three. Like I feel gift giving is the opposite of that. I can't say like you're one of three types of gift givers. That doesn't make sense to me. There's a whole spectrum of gift givers. Um, but I have a tendency to fall into part of this spectrum. Like either A, I overthink it. I'm just like, for me in my mind, every gift has to be the perfect gift. There,
Okay.
there isn't, okay, you see what I'm saying? And like,
You're putting too
I,
much pressure on yourself. That's what's happening.
that's exactly what it is. So because every gift has to be the perfect gift, no gift is even okay.
Mm, yeah, dude.
So when I think about somebody, I'm like, what is the best gift this person's ever had? And then I seek to give them that gift, but I end up with something that is easily. I'm batting 1,000 on worst gift they've ever gotten because I'm shooting for the stars. They're like, what is it? Aim for the moon, no, aim for the stars, and you'll hit the moon, or I don't know what the analogy is, but like, dude, I aim for the moon every time and just shoot myself square in the foot.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it was you or Katie that decided to get that for me that one year, but y'all got me spike ball one year, and that was awesome.
Definitely Katie. I mean, I was on board afterwards. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, it was a Katie gift.
Okay, well that makes sense then. Now I understand.
Yeah.
Um, I think my problem with gift giving has always been, and this is why I struggle so much when we do White Elephant every year, right? Because I always go into it thinking, what would I want?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
So
like,
that yeah, go ahead.
so like I'll be shopping for, one of my nieces or something, one of our nieces or something, and I'll be like, well, I mean, I think if I was a girl, I would want that. But what do I know? I've never been a woman. I've never been a female.
So that is part of the flaw. Again, it's a spectrum, dude. You don't fit into a category. It's a spectrum. Because occasionally I'll get lucky because my thought process for a second will shift and I'm like, I'm getting this for this person and it works out. But that mentality has burned me no less than 1,000% of the time. Because when I think of, yeah, I think of this is what I would want, or oh my God, that's so practical. Like you can definitely use that. And guess what? It's a shit present. If in your
Mm.
mind you thought to yourself, like, oh, of course, if I was a 16 or 17-year-old female in 2022, that's what I would love. If you had that thought in your mind, trash present.
Don't buy it.
Just go somewhere else, okay?
Don't buy it.
And by the way, doesn't matter the age or the year or the demographic. If you had that thought with confidence, it's a trash present. Just you've failed already. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I do it every year. I do it every year. It does not matter who the person is. I mean, Katie, bless her heart, it's been ah, well, I mean, it's been 12 years since from a significant other she's had anything that she would tell other people about ever. Okay. Um, and she just know. Honestly, though, I will tell. After a certain number of years, it gets great because she just has succumbed to the fact that like it's going to be a trash Christmas for her, or birthday,
Yeah.
or It's not just Christmas, by the way. It's birthday, Valentine, like everything. Just trash gift giver. It hasn't motivated her to be a little more, assertive with what I should get her, which is problematic. But yeah. Anyway, so there's that. There's the you think it's going to be right. Okay. What
Yeah.
else do you think makes a shitty gift giver?
Mm. Man, I couldn't tell you. I don't think I'm that bad, other than the fact that I always just think, oh well, I might like that. I feel like I do pretty good. I don't know, man.
Maybe it's programming because like what I think is good is not what anybody thinks is good. Okay, so maybe you're
That's
okay
fair.
using that mentality. But that's just the trait of a shitty gift giver. The second thing is sometimes I go in with the mentality of like that's the perfect gift that they can use. That's how I finish the conversation. I'm like, they can use that. That
Mm.
seems relevant. That seems practical. That's trash. So either I want it because I put myself in their shoes, or it's practical and they should be able to use it, or they have to be able to use it. That's second trash gift for
It's
me,
like the old
specific.
socks Christmas gift trick, huh?
Yeah. So also here's the thing that checks both boxes for me. It's practical and I also want them. Socks doesn't
Dude,
matter, right? So
it's
proving my point right there.
I don't know if it's just a guy thing or not, but I feel like it's just such a clutch gift, right? It's like that and underwear. It's like, bro,
I'm never gonna turn it down ever,
never
and I
I'll
like
always
here's
and I'll use it. That's the thing. I'm not gonna throw it away ever.
the other part to this is that when people are like, "Oh, I just got you socks," I'm like, "No, that's awesome," and they're like, "Oh." Yeah, okay. Like super genuine about the fact that it's awesome. Like I'm
Right.
gonna look at whatever Joe Blow, like whatever trash gift they thought was awesome, probably like I would. And I'm like, yeah, I mean that's great, whatever. But like socks, underwear, no. I'm genuinely thankful.
Because then you don't have to go get them, right? Like, it's just so getting like going to buy a pair of socks or like a package of socks and underwear is just like, man, it's almost, you know what it is, honestly, it's almost kind of demeaning, right? You get up to the register and you're paying for those things and they're looking at you going, you got holes in your shit, don't you?
yeah.
We know you do. We know you
I
do.
don't
But if you buy them around Christmas time, they're looking at you going, you got a son or something or a cousin you getting those for? Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't ever want to be in a circumstance where I haven't bought socks and underwears for God knows how long. But I don't want to be in a circumstance where I'm having to buy them, but I'm okay if they're gifted, is what I want to say.
Right.
Um, but I think this is a problem that more than just myself has. Like I don't know the number of struggling gift givers. How many shitty gift givers are out there? People claim to be a shitty gift giver, but like I
If only
feel
we
like
had
I could be.
stats, right? We need like sports stats for this.
Yeah, I mean, or I could just be part. I could reach out. Connect
Right. There
with
should be
others.
some kind of support group or something on like Facebook or LinkedIn or something, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want it to be so public. I don't know how comfortable I would feel.
Well, you should.
Um,
I feel like you to be able to be part of the group, you should have to submit some kind of application, right? And you would have to list the gifts you've given to people under the circumstance and what that person meant to you, right? Or what that
yeah,
person's relationship to you.
I also just want to be comfortable. I just want to be comfortable just letting folks in on that. Like, here's what I was thinking. Here's the person. Here's the circumstance. What do you guys think? Right? Obviously, you're also
Right.
not very good at giving gifts. What are your
Right.
thoughts? Did I approach it right?
Like some kind of shitty gift givers anonymous group type thing.
100%, right? So like I can sneak off and I'm oh man, I'm going to lay this out as if it's degrading to that organization that we are spoofing unbeknownst to me. But like I'm not saying that I want to I just want to be able to sneak off, Just hit a used car sales floor after hours, bunch of
No,
chairs
dude.
set up.
You know what it is? It's all those like building units that Spirit Halloween always buys out during Halloween time that are in like a
Exactly.
strip center. That way you can go into this empty building around like 5:30 or whatever, do like a quick 30-minute sesh, and then y'all have to go out and shop together, right? You'll have to learn how to shop correctly.
100%, but not before we sit for at least 45 minutes to an hour in an uncomfortable fold out chair with a lukewarm tuna sandwich and talk about the decisions we made that put us there.
And
You
maybe
know,
some decaf black coffee.
SGGA, really could help folks overcome their struggle and the anxiety, really. The anxiety of having to buy one shitty gift after another. Like Shitty Gift Givers Anonymous could really really pump some light back into a lot of people's holidays.
Yeah.
Cuz I struggle, man. I struggle. It's true. But SGGA could, really put me back on top.
Really get you back out there.
We didn't talk anything about the beer because obviously that's just our MO. Introduce the beer, brief facts, irrelevance, and then recap. Um,
You can call me Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. I feel like that's a superhero we've yet to discover. If you think about all superheroes, I'm not getting off topic. We're not going to go down that whole avenue. We'll save that for a later date. But if you think about it, all superheroes are Mr. Irrelevant until they are 100% necessary.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
did
true.
you tally?
I have some numbers written down here. For mine, I can go through them. For entry, I have a 4. For aftertaste, I have a 4. For body, actually, I'm gonna move that one up to a 5 myself. Um, color, I have a 5. Bitterness, I'm at a 2, only because, like we said, it's a lot hoppier than a normal like blonde that I'm used to. I
Mhm.
enjoy it, but it's more bitter than I feel like it should be as a blonde. Uh, acidity, I'm at a 5. And fizz, boy, let me tell you, I'm at a 6 because if I haven't been burping this whole time, I don't know if y'all can hear it or not, but whew, it's got a
I'm
good one.
I'm glad that you mentioned that and that we re-referenced the fact that we kind of added that attribute into that particular category.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to hide them the whole time. I haven't done the best job. I think I had a few straight into the mic, but
I mean, I think that's what it's
um,
all about, right? We're drinking beers anyways. You should be burping.
oh yeah,
But anyways, that brings me to a total of 31. So pretty solid. If it wasn't, I mean, again, I enjoy the bitterness, the hoppiness of it. So I like that about it. But if it wasn't as bitter, it would have got a little bit of a better score relating to other blondes.
am I missing a category? I feel like my score is way lower than I would have thought, even though it scored very well.
Um,
Eh,
there should
maybe
be
not. Okay.
7 categories.
Yeah. Okay. So entry, I have a 5. Um, it's very approachable. It's what I think of. Aftertaste, I have a 4. A little bit of it slides off just because I don't think it's stereotypical blonde. I enjoy it, but it is a little. Even though it's a great thing, it's a very self-confident blonde. Body, I have a 5. Very enjoyable. Color, I had a 2. Man, I struggle with the only downfall to every. I don't want to say every paradigm. I've only had 3. We had the Oktoberfest. We've had this one, and then I had another one that was like their straight up pills. Little too cloudy, I think, to be a readily available, mass produced type beverage. I don't want to say mass produced, but craft worthy. I think it's a little too cloudy for me all the time, but I got a 2 there. Bitterness have a 5, right on point for me. Acidity, I have a 3. I think it could have had a little more. There's some crispness that's missing, and maybe if we dialed back the bitterness from the hops and like that foundation of the malt, maybe acidity would have shown through a little more, but it didn't. Fizz, I have a 5. What? So total, I've got a 29 overall, which is a pretty solid score. One thing I was going to mention last week, I mean, obviously, to my liking, I rated it pretty badly, and I'll stand by that. And then this beer, I really, really enjoyed. It was a great beer. Um, you know, I think I've succumbed to the fact that, like, I don't know how many sixes I'll ever grant in any category. Because
Yeah,
I'll
it's gonna be
always
rough.
assume there's room. I'll always assume that there's a heavenly beer or like the epitome of perfection that like I'll just never have access to. So, in my opinion, if one particular category receives a 5, like probably never going to see anything better, which is stupid because then you would just assume that's a 6. But in my mind, that's not how that works.
No, I mean that makes sense. And when we did this previously, and we rated them, I never gave out a 10. Right? I never gave out a 10 because not because the beers weren't good. They were, some of them were incredible, but because I felt like there would always be something better. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Or there's always a chance for it. So, but on in the sense of this scale, I'm just going based on other blondes that I've had that I feel like are the best I've had.
No, one
Or
hundred
like
percent.
that. So that's why I've given out a few 6s in some instances.
But in the back of my mind, I think this, like, It's always somewhat it's subjective because it's on a scale, but it's somewhat comparable. But like, who's to say that the blonde that I had that I think is the perfect blonde was the perfect blonde? So
No,
at
right.
best, it's a 5 out of 6. Like, I don't think so. I maybe I need to like change my mind to understand that, like, you know what, there is a 6 out there. It's okay to rate it a 6, but I always feel like everything could be a little bit better. So to me, a 5 is as good as it gets as far as evaluating what I'm putting in my mouth today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong there. I think it's all opinion based. It's not like, there's an overall beer tasting god that is saying this is how the scale needs to be. It's just all your opinion, anyways.
So nonetheless, great. I enjoyed it. I think I said something similar maybe about that. I've actually Paradigm has impressed me, man. I think that they've got some pretty unique plays. They put their twist on things, but they've got some unique plays on some pretty traditional beers. If we look at like an Oktoberfest or a Blonde or a Pilsner, um, enjoyable overall. I'm glad that their marketing represents the brand that they're building around this particular beer. Um, and I could read it off of the can before even verifying it on the website. So, I don't know. This isn't an ad for them per se, but man, I've been extremely impressed.
There's something that we used to do on the podcast that I've done a couple times here. I think you've done it a couple of times too, without even knowing. But we would always say, what would we be doing with this beer? What would we see ourselves doing while drinking this beer? And I do want to kind of get back into doing that because I think it's a cool little imagery thing. Um, I really don't have a specific event for this one, unfortunately, but I think it would be really honestly just like one of those daily drinkers. Like I could really almost do anything with this beer. Um, it's like we said, it has a little bit of a malt, so it's good for this time of year when it starts getting a little cooler out. But also it's a blonde, so it's probably pretty nice whenever it's warmer outside. Just kind of an everyday drinker for me, I think. Obviously not actually every day, but.
I agree. This might be out of bounds, but like whenever I, periodically I love when, like, obviously I love to cook. Um especially outdoors, for all things. But like, I could see this being something where you're doing a day cook or like a weekend cook outside with the guys. And temperature doesn't matter, to your point. It can be cold out. It could be, preferably it's, springtime, to be honest with you, just based on the temperatures of Texas. But where
Mm,
everybody's coming over to experience what it is that you're offering them, from a cook perspective. It's not a stereotypical cookout beer. It's not a stereotypical, hey, I'm doing a brisket beer, right? But I'm inviting the boys over. It's just the boys, because I'm being vulnerable and offering them whatever I'm trying to come up with. And that's what I see it as. Like, we're going to enjoy some
mm.
good beers. We're going to experiment. There's some vulnerability because I don't know if this isn't a tried and true recipe. This is something that I'm experimenting with, and I want them to give me honest feedback on. It's an honest feedback, um, new food exploration beer, in my opinion. Again, that's a rabbit hole we went down, but that's when I taste it, that's what it makes me think of.
I feel it. I see it. I see myself there, uh, experiencing that.
Dude, you don't get better without R&D, and this is a beer that fuels R&D. It fuels research and development on the taste buds, in your technique, whatever it is.
And to the first responders.
And to the first responders, because if there's anybody that has really phenomenal taste buds, it's folks that are waiting to respond. And technique, they invented it.
They did. All right. On that note, I'm gonna tell y'all to go follow us on socials, on Twitter at Off the Tap Pod and on Instagram at Off the Tap Podcast. Check us out. Communicate with us there. And yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah. And one thing that I'll just leave you with, going into the week, and as a reminder, There is no Unforgotten Fizz.